On 18 October, Joe Biden arrived in Israel and met Netanyahu. This video interprets their body language during the speeches they gave that day. Two significant tells from Netanyahu jumped straight out at me and actually had a profound, revelatory effect. I've been waiting for any other more experienced, more qualified body language experts to pick up on it and publish their interpretations, but it has yet to materialize. So here it goes from me.
It is 20 minutes to midday in Israel, and we're cutting to the live pictures of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is hosting the U.S. President Joe Biden. Let's listen in.
The world sees that support and the moral clarity that you have demonstrated from the moment Israel was attacked. You've rightly drawn a clear line between the forces of civilization and the forces of barbarism. You described what Hamas did as sheer evil. It is exactly that. Hamas murdered children in front of their parents and parents in front of their children. They burnt people alive. They raped and murdered women. They beheaded soldiers. They searched for the secret hiding places where parents hid their children. And just imagine, Mr. President, the fear and the panic of those little children in their last moments as the monsters found out their hiding places. Hamas kidnapped women, children, elderly, Holocaust survivors. I know you share our outrage on this, and I know you share our determination to bring these people back. On October 7th, Hamas murdered 1,400 Israelis, maybe more. This is in a country of fewer than 10 million people. This would be equivalent to over 50,000 Americans murdered in a single day. That's 29 11s. That is why October 7th is another day that will live in infamy. Mr. President, you rightly said that Hamas is worse than ISIS. The German chancellor who visited here yesterday said that Hamas were the new Nazis. You're both right. And just as the civilized world united to defeat the Nazis and united to defeat ISIS, the civilized world must unite to defeat Hamas. I can assure you, Mr. President, Israel is united to defeat Hamas, and we will defeat Hamas and remove this terrible threat from our lives. The forces of civilization will prevail for our sake, for your sake, for peace and security in our region and in the world. Mr. President, for the people of Israel, there's only one thing better than having a true friend like you standing with Israel, and that is having you standing in Israel. Your visit here is the first visit of an American president in Israel at a time of war. It is deeply, deeply moving. It speaks to the depth of your personal commitment to Israel. It speaks to the depth of your personal commitment to the future of the Jewish people and the one and only Jewish state. So I know I speak for all the people of Israel when I say, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for standing with Israel today, tomorrow, and always.
Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much.
Notice how Netanyahu, when listing the crimes of Hamas on 7 October, focused and paused on one attack in particular, the fear of little children in their hiding places, and not on the other, more severe ones. This is strange. There is request for approval body language at that particular one when he directly addresses Biden.
Hamas murdered children in front of their parents and parents in front of their children. They burnt people alive. They raped and murdered women. They beheaded soldiers. They searched for the secret hiding places where parents hid their children. And just imagine, Mr. President, the fear and the panic of those little children in their last moments as the monsters found out their hiding places.
While each of these atrocities are heinous, some are definitely more awful than others. What made Netanyahu more emotional or reactive over the children being discovered in secret hiding places but he didn't emphasize any of the other more heinous atrocities he listed. What made him emphasize that one in particular? The awfulness of children being discovered in hiding places in particular? Could it be that that was the crime committed by Hamas, and the others are fabricated as atrocity propaganda? During police interrogations of criminals, this is what criminals also do. They provide details of truthful events, but no detail of fabricated events. Considering the extent of atrocity propaganda, such as 40 beheaded babies and babies burnt alive, verification of such claims is essential. Netanyahu's speech is supposed to be directed at Biden, but it's interesting that he doesn't look or even glance at him. He looks down to his notes, then up at the cameras, like he wants to make sure they record his performance and words. Netanyahu's focus is more on convincing the world audience via cameras than on his visitor, Biden. Why is Biden looking down throughout? Like someone in shame? Looking down is not a strong or confident posture for a leader, especially when the whole world is watching right now. People who feel ashamed of their actions look down. Netanyahu says, "I can assure you, Mr. President, Israel is united to defeat Hamas." Why does he feel the need to mention his own country's unity? Could it be that actually there is disunity there? 94% of Israelis said Netanyahu's government failed to protect them. Look it up. When Netanyahu said, on October 7, Hamas murdered 1,400 Israelis, maybe more. Often when people tell the truth, they might nod their heads simultaneously in agreement with what they're saying. But if they shake their heads in disagreement with what they've said, their bodies are betraying their lie. Netanyahu throws in a head shake exactly when he says, maybe more. It appears that his head shake is denying that statement. And most importantly, if it is true, why not remain on that topic and emphasize it to the world's watching audience? Maybe more deaths does not deserve to be said as a throwaway comment. Maintaining lies are stressful, so we tend to say it and quickly move on to the next point in conversation. Not stay on the lie too long because you don't want to entertain any questions or attention to it.
On October 7th, Hamas murdered 1,400 Israelis, maybe more.
At 6 minutes. Wow. When Netanyahu says, "Thank you, Mr. President," Biden does not meet his eye contact. He continues to look down. Yet, we always acknowledge gratitude by looking back at the person expressing it. Biden's failure to meet Netanyahu's eye contact is very interesting.
So I know I speak for all the people of Israel when I say, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for standing with Israel today, tomorrow, and always.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much. Look, folks, I wanted to be here today for a simple reason. I want the people of Israel, the people of the world, to know where the United States stands. I've had my great Secretary of State here. He's been here for a lot, but I wanted to personally come and make that clear. The terrorist group Hamas has slaughtered, as has been pointed out, over 1,300 people. And it's not hyperbole to suggest slaughtered, and including 31 Americans as part of that. And they've taken scores of people hostage, including children. You said, imagine what those children hiding from Hamas were thinking. It's beyond my comprehension to be able to imagine what they're thinking. Beyond my comprehension.
Netanyahu grunts and a slight nod of his head up and down. He pointedly looks to the cameras to make sure that they got that. He is looking for affirmation or acknowledgement. It's interesting that on that specific atrocity, children hiding from Hamas, Netanyahu immediately looks for acknowledgement from the cameras, journalists, or world audience. He is placing emphasis again on that particular atrocity. Why? Is it because that is the only one that occurred?
You said, imagine what those children hiding from Hamas were thinking. It's beyond my comprehension to be able to imagine what they're thinking. beyond my comprehension. Evils that and atrocities that make ISIS look somewhat more rational. You know, Americans are grieving with you. They really are. And Americans are worried. Americans are worried because we know this is not an easy field to navigate, what you have to do. But the fact is that Israel, as they respond to these attacks, it seems to me that have to continue to ensure that you have what you need to defend yourselves. And we're going to make sure that occurs, as you know. And we have to also bear in mind that Hamas does not represent all the Palestinian people. And it has brought them only suffering. You know, years ago, I asked the Secretary of State when he and I were working in the Senate to write something for him, and he said, he wrote a line that I think is appropriate. He said, it's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it. I'll wait later. Taking too much time. But the point is this, that I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. But there's a lot of people out there not sure. So we've got to overcome a lot of things. And it also means encouraging life-saving capacity to help the Palestinians who are innocent, caught in the middle of this. And, well, anyway, that's who we are. Not just me, but I mean, that's who the United States is. And it's just not the example of our power, it's the power of our example that's almost as important. The world's looking. Israel has a value set like the United States does and other democracies. And they're looking to see what we're going to do. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm very happy to be back in Israel with you. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to having a thorough discussion about where everybody goes from here. But thank you. And I want to say to the people of Israel, their courage, their commitment, their bravery is stunning. It's really stunning. I'm proud to be here.